we don't have a choice. Like our industry doesn't have a choice. You have to be on board and you have to be ahead of it, or you're going to fall behind. And whatever whoever you're working for, agency or brand, you're going to get them to fall behind. And so it's not really something on by trying to fight this like uphill battle. It's we have to be at the forefront in order for SharkNinja to stay at the top. I want to be the first in market. I want to try alphas and betas.
This is the Snarketing Podcast. For marketers by marketers. Talking to marketers with just a touch of snark. Now, here are your hosts, Valerie Vespa and Matt Wurst.
Hi, friends, and welcome to this episode of the Snarketing Podcast. We are your co-hosts, Matt and
Valerie.
Good. We still know our names, despite the heat, the intensity of summer. We're here. We're ready. We've got a killer episode, and I don't just say that because the person coming in is representing a fighting warrior with his company. But he is a big name. He's a big presence. Hopefully we get a big listening audience. But before we turn to Dave...
He's a big lover.
Oh, okay. I know he's a big traveler. I think he just got off a plane from somewhere, and he's getting on another one in like 3 hours. So we have a very limited window here. Very tight window. We'll have to be precise and surgical and ninja-like with our time management.
I like that.
Dave. How have you been, though?
It's funny, Matt. I think that what I enjoy, one component of why I enjoy our friendship is that you teach me really useless yet interesting things. And
you're welcome. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the.
Well, I do find.
What did I leave you with this time that I'm not even aware of?
I had not known what Chinese dream core was until you randomly told me how you wormholed through Reddit and Threads and at 3 a.m.
Apologies in advance to the listening audience because you're about to go down a discovery path of epic nostalgic proportions. If you don't know what this Dreamcore trend is, I read about it in the New York Times recently and then haven't been able to sleep. And I've either been playing 82-0, which is like a basketball app game where I try and create the perfect team, or I am going down this Chinese Dreamcore storytelling. It may be propaganda from the Chinese government. I'm not sure. But it's basically a callback to the time when everything in China was great, whether it was like the Olympics or the arrival of fast food restaurants from the U.S. and how the youth culture was really discovering Western influences for the first time. And it was creating this perfect storm of excitement. Maybe that is still happening. Maybe not. I don't know. But the excitement that nostalgia has created, I think, is both infectious, but also just harkens back as marketers to a very safe, think about all the Super Bowl commercials. Nostalgia always wins, right? Like there's something in this time of weird uncertainty that when we go back and look at the safety of whether it's the 90s or whatever it is, for me, it was the summer of 1985 personally, but that's what's happening, right? It's just reliving and taking the pain off of the present by going back to the past.
It felt like even the clothing that kids are wearing right now harkens back to those days. So I feel like it's not just in China, it's everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's always something. In the last decade, we were excited about the 80s. At some point, we'll be looking back at the 2010s and remembering how incredible it was to be on social media for the first time before everything got ruined. So we're looking back, but I also think there's something to be said about looking ahead. And that's where in our industry, if we don't continue to innovate and don't introduce new ways of thinking, new ways of working, and even, good transition for Dave here, but like new products that get people excited about basic challenges in their life, whether it's how they stay cool, how they prepare food. Right. That's.
He works for a beloved brand. Like my Gen Alpha, Gen Z nieces and nephews, like they're thrilled by a lot of the products that they launch. It's impressive that it runs the gamut in terms of
So I
audience
think we
target.
create a matchup. I think that here's what we're going to do. They are great at like creating new things out of, unique products out of traditional challenges. We are going to create a mashup. We are going to take Snark and SharkNinja, and we're about to create SnarkNinja. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, let's bring Dave in.
This episode of the Snarketing Podcast features the man running the media machine at SharkNinja, Global Head of Media, Dave Kersey. From architecture to the agency world to the brand in every kitchen in America, that's the convo today. Matt and Val dial up the snark and dig into the not-so-stealthy rise of the ninja, the oh-so-healthy jump from agency to brand, and where media heads next.
Dave, welcome to the Snarketing Podcast. I will say that you were probably our most requested guest ever by at least one of the co-hosts. So thank you for joining. And I know you've had some travel that you've had. Thank you for squeezing us in. Although I got to ask, why do you need to travel anymore since isn't all media agentic now?
Ooh, I have a feeling we'll get into this. But relationships aren't.
Oh.
Unless you are the agent of that relationship yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Building that now.
Okay. So, yes, we will get to this. I didn't mean to jump right into the $1 million, $1 billion questions right away. So let's start with an easy one, because you are running media for one of my favorite companies. You've managed to convince America that we need machines to make slushies at home, $1,000 espresso robot, a face mask that lights up. But before we touch any of that, I would be curious to hear how you talk about or describe your job to your family or at like Thanksgiving.
Oh boy. Well, first, the face mask that lights up has positive health benefits. so there's purpose and solution to all of the products. But I'm glad we've convinced you to buy the slushy machine. Everyone should have one in their house. Hopefully you have the creamy as well. When I talk about my role or even my career to my family, it's very short because they believe anything they see on TV is what I did, and I'm not a creative. When I talk to them about the idea of growth marketing, connecting with consumers, driving consumers to the shelf, they just, dead blank stares. So try to keep it light and just say, you know what, we have a lot of fun, we do hard work, and we sell products.
And if you were to talk about your day-to-day from our audience, which will be a lot of marketers and people in our business, I know you've been traveling a whole ton, forging new relationships, as you mentioned before. So can you share a little bit about what your role in your day-to-day looks like?
Yeah, I think the idea of global media, it's a bit misleading because it means so many things at this point in our business. I look at my role as a growth driver. And in many ways, it's twofold. It's driving audience strategy, understanding what is the right connected system to get someone like you, Val, or Matt, to see one of our products and then immediately purchase or look for more information. So it's a lot of the audience strategy components, but it's really about growth and looking at all of the data to understand what's going to drive the right people to the right shelf. I think the other way to look at it is if I would to compare my global media role to other industries, it would be more akin to a hedge fund manager, looking at how do I invest our total marketing spend in the most efficient, effective way to drive our business upwards. So it kind of takes the idea of like traditional media out of the equation completely, because now with systems, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this, it really is understanding our audience and investing in the most strategic way.
So a hedge fund without the cool bro finance vest is basically how we.
I didn't wear it. You said not to wear the vest.
That's true. We have a strict no vest policy.
Yeah, it's Monday. Yeah, no vest Monday.
Yeah, it's also going to be 100 degrees in New York this week, so it's probably not recommended. I don't know many people who grew up wanting to be in marketing, media per se. It's not like one of those jobs that people come and talk about in your elementary school. It's not always a straight line in terms of how we've gotten here. So I'm curious how you grew into this, how any pivots from what you might have initially thought you wanted to do into what you
Sure.
actually do really even happened.
Many pivots along the way, and in fact, I didn't strive to be a media professional. I didn't even know what it was, and I think many people don't really know what it is. To your point, I childhood wanted to be a lawyer, as many do. Watching Perry Mason with my mother, it was kind of a tradition. I'm like, I think I'll do that. But later in life, when I could make my own decisions, I was really fascinated by architecture, skyscrapers, engineering, and I went to school to be an architect. I started my first 2 years of college were training uh, in computer systems, CAD design for architecture, and a lot of things happen in college to many of us. You start to discover who you are, that maybe you're a little more social and like to have more fun, and or you realize that you have different skill sets. Um, and I quickly learned that talking to people, persuading people, getting people to rally around something was something I was good at. And I started exploring PR as a minor. And then it quickly had an inverse of comms and marketing as a primary, with architecture as a secondary. And then got an internship at an ad agency that was a general intern. I think it was called like a brand coordinator or something, where you touch all facets of the advertising industry. And I was still pretty dead set on PR. And then I learned more about media. I'm like, actually, they seem much happier than this PR team. So let's talk to them more. And the rest is history.
It's like the med student who has to do a rotation every few weeks, and it's like they throw you in to see what you like. But in a lot of ways, architecture, I think there's so many similarities between that and planning. I'm making air quotes for our listener. We talk about architecture all the time in marketing and media, but you actually understand the engineering principles behind it, which is pretty interesting. And you now live in the greatest city in the world for architecture, so that's not a bad sort of side interest to have.
Yeah, I like how you connected all that together. That's really great.
Well, it's Monday. My brain cells are still fresh, so
I thought it was the hat. Yeah, but when I'm building internally and talking to stakeholders, our ELT, I use naming conventions like design, audience architecture, because there is a lot of similarities, right? You need some of these foundational basics set in order to build on top of them. No different. Although a roof's not going to fall on marketing.
And then place some bets on creatively trying new things and testing, right? Yeah. So you had been on the agency side for quite some time, probably like around 2 decades, right? And worked at
easy
big ones. Oh, I know. I'm
disclosing
sorry.
My. Could have started as a Doogie Howser prodigy.
We'll retract that from the recording. And then you crossed over to the brand side, which we have been seeing quite a bit of that sort of natural progression from agency leads heading over to the brand side. Did you intentionally make that decision? What sort of pulled you over to client side?
I did. There was a few factors, actually. I've been looking and really interested on the brand or tech side, platform side for a long time. Just seeing how our industry is changing so fast, the last year, 2 years, much faster than prior. I think if I look at the media agency basics and where I sat, a lot of the challenges I would face were clients wanting solutions from an agency. That's why you pay them, right? You enlist an agency that you believe understands your business and is going to drive the success of your brand or your portfolio to the next level because of your team, your resources, your data, infrastructure, partnerships, all of those things. But what was always a roadblock for me is clients were really not willing to give you the full suite of data. And so you're creating solutions for them without all the details to create the right solutions. And I knew it was just getting worse and worse as technology was advancing to the degree it has. And it was to a point where you're not set up for success. You're going to keep spending a lot of time and resources building these opportunities and ideas to drive X brand forward, and then just hit a wall because the response would be, you don't understand our sales cycle, you don't understand our inventory concerns or our product innovation roadmap, all things that often brands were less willing to share. And I knew in order for me to have impact with my skill set and my expertise, I needed to be inside the walls of a brand. I think that was the biggest one for me. The second, I think, fundamental change in our industry is just the inherent change that's happening with technology, AI, and certainly mergers and call them acquisitions, where the focus within agencies has changed quite a bit. And it's become more about defining and building more revenue streams versus truly driving a brand's client forward. And I go back to, in order for me to leverage my skill set and help a brand win, I needed to be inside the walls. So I had access and at least visibility to all the information to make the best decisions.
So interestingly, so when you talk about being on the client side, SharkNinja runs on progress over perfection, it seems like, and there's so many different products that come out annually. It's really impressive. So for someone who came up through agency decks and approval chains, was that liberating or terrifying, or how do you feel about it today versus the first day you started?
Yes. The answer is yes, all of the above. It's liberating in many ways. I think when you have an organization that is led by strong leadership, that is basically empowering everyone to take risks and almost embody or accept failure because we're trying new things. And the way SharkNinja has been so successful is not just launching 20 to 25 net new innovations a year. It's by taking risks and being at the forefront of innovation, not just within our own category, but across many categories, because that's how we win. We can't afford to, nor does it make sense to invest at the level of competing with all of our competitors. And for perspective, we're in 39 product categories. Every product category has its own suite of competitors, and we're winning, right? And so our model works, and it's because we're taking risks and we're able to go into a situation or look at an opportunity of, we don't have all the details, but we have strong intuition and enough data foundation to say, we're going to take this risk and we're going to make sure we're going to engineer success essentially. And I would say 99% of the time it's successful and we scale or iterate and move on.
So you have to shorten the timeline, right? With 25 new product launches a year, most companies throw themselves a party and pat themselves on the back when they launch one, and they're planning a year in advance their media strategy. So how does your media organization actually plan for and keep pace without losing your mind?
Is this on record? No, I'm kidding. Our model is just totally different because the idea of media planning is a bit archaic in my opinion, because long gone are the days of 12-week windows of building a media plan that starts with this big vision and cascading the information. The world doesn't move that way. Consumers don't shop or behave that way. And so we move at the speed of consumers. And so while we don't have a lot of time to celebrate because we're moving so fast, we're able to do it because of our model, because we're in platform and we are capitalizing on consumer signals in real time. And it's just different.
And are you leaning on your publishers, your partnerships to understand that sort of data and looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of data partnerships that we're building within our own internal architecture, but it's a number of things. I mean, certainly our agency partners are helping. All of our retail partners. That's really a good source of our information of what is converting on the shelf, who's converting on the shelf, how do we do more of it, or what are we learning on how we can pivot. It's our tech platforms, certainly those that are the big four, obviously, who are core business drivers for us, and just taking all of the right data sets and pulling them together to inform what we should do at the speed we need to do it.
And like half of your catalog seems to be like TikTok obsessions of their own. So you've got the creamy, the slushy blenders that come in a variety of colors that people fight over. And how much of that virality is engineered versus do you just like catching lightning and riding the wave?
I would say good majority is engineered. It's part of our edge and our secret sauce, so to speak. We are a social first, digital only organization, and our way in is social content creators, influencers, and more so even the affiliate model now, because really this is what's driving consumers. Affiliates or creators are the storefront in many ways, and we learned that a long time ago, and we've been ramping ever since, where a lot of our competitors and or other brands are trying to figure out the model and trying to catch up. That's what consumers gravitate towards, and it goes back to the idea of media planning is the thing of the past. Understanding audiences and consumer behavior is how we get ahead.
Do you find that with such a variety of activations that may be happening concurrently, that there's a risk of, I wouldn't call it cannibalization, but like I can only watch maybe three things at once at this point. My attention span has grown a little bit, but I'm obviously not in the market for everything all at once, but I'm in the market for some of these things and maybe don't even realize I'm in the market for others. So how do you strike that balance between reaching me as your target audience with different messages at different times and different platforms?
There's a few ways, but I mean, honestly, even starting off this conversation, you talked about all of the SharkNinja products you have, all in different categories, all with technically fundamentally different audience segments. So it just kind of proves the point of it's not an audience demo strategy, it's an in-market interest contextual alignment strategy. And I mean, our to your point, Val, we do engineer a lot of our virality. Our products are even built and designed with that in mind. So even before they hit a production line, there's a factor we look at. We call it TOV, threshold of virality, where product engineers and marketing sit together and talk about the idea of these products. What will work? What will people talk about? What do we need to do to make sure people are creating and posting their own content around it? So it's inherent. I mean, we're a consumer first organization, and that truly sets us up as a consumer first organization. But a lot of it's engineered, and what we've learned and what you guys probably know, and maybe how you're influenced, is you're going to trust people you follow in social platforms more than you're going to trust a third party ad talking about come into this store and buy this product, because the consumers or the creators are talking about the benefits for them, which may resonate for you or may put you in a mindset of, oh, this could probably solve X, Y, and Z for me. And so the idea of duplication or overlapping campaigns, certainly there's some back end engineering of how we cadence our campaign and investment strategies. But ultimately, if you're organically viewing certain content and we show up, it's because you're viewing that content, which just tells us you're in the mindset. So you could be in the mindset of three different products within three different categories, and that's actually okay.
With agentic media buying, the idea of intent and contextual in context is going to be imperative versus like the standard audience behavior. Like, I don't know.
It's the state we're in, and I think this is why being again on this side in an organization that is so empowering to taking risks, and it's not just like a partner program, it's like re-engineering the entire way you go to market is liberating, to your earlier question, because we can try these things, and if it works, crap, this is huge. How do we scale this? How do we get the entire organization to change their muscle memory to start embracing this and move at speed? So it's pretty powerful.
Very powerful. And so, like, thinking about the fact that your remit covers brand, retail, DTC, Amazon, all into one performance engine, like, in theory, that sounds very easy to think about, but like, where does like how challenging, especially in the beginning? How long have you been there here?
A year.
Yeah, a year. So like within the year, was there a strategy in place when you came in, or is it completely different than what you started with? And tell us a little bit about that.
It's completely different 3 or 4 times since I've started, because we don't sit still and we don't believe in complacency. So if we start finding a slowdown somewhere, we'll mix it up and see what we need to do to respark that energy and that enthusiasm. I would say from a let's call it full funnel media perspective, which I believe the funnel is also a thing of the past. When I joined, media lived in multiple areas, all with potentially different P&Ls, different goals. Global media, which I was brought in to lead, was more of demand generation initially, and it was to drive all the qualified traffic to one of our, let's call them commerce channels, whether it's D2C, Amazon, a physical shelf, or one of the digital retail shelves. Since then, we've gotten much closer because we're connecting the data in the right way. Where there's still teams that are, we have an Amazon team really dedicated to that P&L and overdriving that business. Same with D2C, but the media operation is connected in a way that it's never been connected. And the future, not to say it's perfect now, but our road and our pathway is to get there and to be, again, ahead of the industry. We're building, we're building a model that is outcomes based, signal driven. And so it moves away from the idea of any kind of demographic targeting, because that actually doesn't matter anymore. It is intent, it's contextual alignment. And honestly, it's, I think you said it, Matt, where your attention span, it's finding those attentive moments, whether it's on a living room screen or it's within a thumb scroll on your phone or in market looking for something specific. It's owning the moment and owning our share in all of those environments.
Well, I think it's not just or, I think it's and, right? So this idea of contextual continuity,
Yeah.
no matter where you go between, right? I saw this thing here, now I'm looking here, and that story should be progressive, and we're getting better about knowing who you are every
Yep.
time you move between those devices. I think that's one thing that's definitely accelerating. The other, and I think you do this, but I would love to hear how, which is kind of tearing down the walls a little bit between, or silos, or whatever you want to call them, between the creative, the media, and the analytics, right?
Yeah.
Everyone claims they want that, and how do we get that? And our agencies are all siloed. Like, what do you do to get those groups to stop guarding their corners and actually work together?
You pull all the money from them. No,
Never like desperation.
I would say it actually, it comes top down again. Our CEO and our chief commercial officer, some of the first questions they ask if something's not performing is it the media or is it the message? And so they're very attuned to, it's one or the other. What's beautiful about this company is we have a philosophy outside of progress over perfection called obsessed with winning. And what's great is it's a grounding. Anytime you go into a meeting or a virtual meeting, the goal of that meeting is to come out with a solution to win. And so everyone comes in with the same intent, right? You're not coming in with a personal motive or something you want to achieve. It is going in with the problem, coming out with a solution that everyone's rallied behind. And that's creative, that's media, and certainly marketing analytics. Our marketing analytics function is built in a way where it's both content and media. So we're looking at content performance as much as and as often as we are media performance, because we're assessing in real time, hourly, did this content resonate? Is it driving point of sale or is it the media placement? And we're making optimizations in real time based on both factors.
And how close are you working with creative? Sorry, I know. I had
Across
to ask the
everything.
question. Yeah, really. So it's just lock
Okay.
and step. Is it internal?
It's mostly internal. We do outsource some partnerships, but because we move so fast, and you know, at the end of the day, we're a product marketing organization, and every new product launch is a hero product that you could almost consider a brand within a portfolio, right? So it has its own budget, its own goals, and we all rally behind the success of that launch. We have to be connected at every step. We have sometimes daily when it launches, always weekly meetings to say how the content perform, what do we need to do different, how the media perform, where do we optimize.
And given that it's a social first and even creator heavy strategy and activation, um, I find it interesting that most of the creator economy lives in like 7 platforms and apps at this point.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be, right? The open web model of publishers and retailers are all competing for dollars now as well. How do you perceive new platforms, innovative opportunities to reach audiences? Like, is that something you test a small amount with? Would you try and jumping in with a new product, or does it really just depend on where you are in the life cycle of your real-time media planning?
All the above. But I'm open to testing everything, and I think if there's any advice I would give my peers is always test, because I mean, even with the rise of AI, right? I mean, if you were at Cannes 2 years ago, it was all about AI and how it's going to change the world. This last Cannes was about more AI in practice and some proof points of how it's actually changing the dynamic. What happened at Cannes 3 weeks ago, it's already changed since then, right? So we have to be at the forefront. You always need to test new partners, new technologies, new platforms. I'm looking at, and while platforms are important to me, and new digital channels or screens to reach consumers, I'm looking at more of the technology on how to become more efficient and more effective, whether it's automation, whether it's agile, call it new age DCO type content. These things I think are driving the business farther, faster than looking at new platforms, because the bulk of impression and attention, they are in fewer channels, and that's just the reality. It doesn't mean you're going to capture everyone, and it doesn't mean that that platform is going to convert someone. So we have to test platforms, but I think it's the technology that we need to keep testing.
And you've said that programmatic is not sort of a set it and forget it type of tool. You expect your partners to really be transparent. So, what does it take for a partner to earn your trust in this environment today?
It is transparency. I think in full open dialogue. I am understanding of the tech and audience targeting cost inefficiencies, but if there's an investment to drive higher business output, I'm open to it. And I think in some cases, even in past lives, the tech fees were always a stickler, right? It was something that you couldn't really get past, and clients weren't really willing to have the conversation if, let's call it 20-30% of your budget was going into a tech layer. But if I can still look at the ROAS or the ROI specific to the working media against its impact, I think there's opportunity there. And so it's the transparency of what is this actually going to cost in order to have this potential upside for the business. Um, Programmatic should never be set it and forget it, even with agentic optimizations and some of the new technologies. You still need the human insight and human layer looking at campaigns, because to your point earlier, Matt, if you're cadencing a number of efforts at the same time, you want to make sure you're not cannibalizing each other. So you can't just set it and forget it. You have to be in platform looking at performance in real time. And whether it's us or our agencies, that is part of our relationship.
I'd be curious just to get into your process or your brain a little bit and understand, given the rate of change and the acceleration of technology and the fact that everything's already changed in the last 2 weeks since we all got back, like that both creates panic, but also excites me because A, hopefully I'm someone who's driving some of that change too. But how do you either, again, keep up with, react to, lead those to lead you in a way that you can still sleep at night?
Well, sleeping is not an option, Matt. But I think the reality is we don't have a choice. Like, our industry doesn't have a choice. You have to be on board and you have to be ahead of it, or you're going to fall behind. And whoever you're working for, agency or brand, you're going to get them to fall behind. And so it's not really something on am I trying to fight this like uphill battle? It's we have to be at the forefront. In order for SharkNinja to stay at the top, I want to be the first in market. I want to try alphas and betas. My agencies are very aware of what my ambition is. We're building ecosystems together that test all new technologies around automation, like I said, um, setting new benchmarks that will then obviously impact optimizations. All of these things matter. And again, it comes from top down. So if you have this expectation, your teams understand it, your leadership understands it, and certainly your agencies understand it. And it's not even a question. It's just we have to, or we fall behind.
Having agency partners, I mean, you and I both come from an agency background, so I think it's somewhat in our DNA to protect it. But a lot of brands keep pulling media in house in some capacity, whether it's for part of it, specialized, or more holistically. Uh, you've been pulled in house, so I guess you're kind of a microcosm of this in some ways.
There we go. Yeah.
But what does that trend mean for the traditional agency model over the next 1, 5, 10 years?
I think the traditional agency model, again, is another thing of the past. Some of them are trying to figure out how they sustain in this environment. But, and I'll only speak from a Shark Ninja perspective, we move too fast for a traditional agency to be successful or to drive our success. In some global local markets, I have 4-hour SLA, which is unheard of. I have 24-hour SLAs in every market, and that's just the speed we move. And in order to accomplish that, you either need an agency that will deliver that for you, that's willing to, or you need to have people hands on keyboard in house that can be as agile as your business is. And so for me, the idea of media agency or media agency services is not necessarily around, I don't think the value is necessarily around truly just executional activation. I think it's more about helping build an operating system, bringing the best tech forward, because we're so ingrained in the business. There's not a lot of time I can carve out to meet with all of these new AI or automation or tech partners on my own. I need to rely on the agencies to do the initial view and figure out who would make sense for my business, who should I spend my time with to get to know them and see if there's a test opportunity or something we can scale in the business. So I see their role being more strategic and consultative than truly media planning and activating.
I feel like you like sort of answered this next question before we get to the lightning round. Give us
Ooh.
one prediction about the media business that would make a room full of marketers either nod or like spit out their coffee.
Spit take. That's very dramatic.
That's very dramatic. I want to think of something bold because I want to see people spit their coffee. Here's what I would say, and I've kind of been circling around at this conversation. The brands that will win are the brands with the best decision making and signal system, and I can explain that. The brands that will not win are the ones that go all in on a media strategy and believe that's going to drive their business. Because it's not about the media strategy anymore. It's about the signals you're using in real time to make your decisions. Goes back to this, hedge fund management, like kind of analogy. You have to move when the market moves. You got to move fast, and decision making. You can't have week-long, day-long delays. And if you need approvals up the chain, you need to move fast, and you need that to be in place. That's what's going to win, because I can compete with every brand in the traditional media and still win. But the only way to stay ahead and win even greater share, where my competitors are just trying to keep up with where they were, is to have a strong signal system, which we have in place, and just clarity on decision making to do it at speed.
I know it's funny. You think about like all these startup like CPG brands that then get bought by like a big behemoth, and then they just like go there to die.
Yeah,
Because their process.
Because they have to mold to this traditional model versus their D2C model that was why they were purchased
in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, look, some of those, it's like trying to domesticate a wild animal. The reason that they are the way they are, the reason why a shark can't be contained is because they got to hunt and they have to be active in their natural environments, whereas that's kind of in your DNA. I bet the hardest part that you have to deal with on a regular basis is probably saying no, because platforms are pitching themselves to you. So many companies want to work with you. How would, let's say I am building a startup, how would I work with and get integrated with a company that is getting pitched by everybody else at the same time too?
Mark,
how do we cut through?
Matt's doing a soft pitch to you, by the way.
Hypothetically here. No, I promise that was not, the question wasn't even written down.
The lead-in was the sharks have to hunt. So this is good. I would say, show me how you're going to drive my business from an incremental perspective and prove it. And then put your weight behind it and guarantee it.
It's almost like work backward from the outcome that I'm going to guarantee, predict, or in some way promise.
Yeah. Every dollar I spend, I have to hang my hat on that it's going to drive business impact. Every dollar. And every brand should be focused on that, right? Well, I don't think the days of, we're building a brand, let's go put a lot of impressions on TV and just have a vanity play to say we're in all of these events unless it's driving something incremental, even engagement on the website, something. So for partners to win with me or to come with test or alphas or betas or new ideas, show me how you're going to create upside for my business and then guarantee it. Seems
Okay.
fair. And listen, for us too, where we sit, we have our likely competitors, which you can imagine who they are. But there's so many new emerging brands coming into the space that we have to compete with, who are moving to the um, same swiftness as some of the D2C brands that you were saying get acquired, and we're competing with that. And if we're not fast enough to beat them, that's the mission, that's the goal.
Okay, well, if you're used to moving quickly, then the lightning round should be no problem for you.
We'll see.
Before we jump in, I'm just personally curious. Like, as someone who owns a number of products, you must get to either take some home. Like, what's the favorite thing that you're obsessed with lately in your home, or even just keeping in your office?
Yeah, so I would say my recent obsession is our chill pill, which is our personal fan.
Oh,
I did not leave my hotel room in Cannes without it because it was 2,000 degrees and humid. It saved me the entire week. And for all of my speaking engagements, I was able to get it into the photos as well. So it was marketing and a solution.
product placement is always important,
Yeah.
but when it's practical, it's even better. I will tell you, Valerie and I have already
That's right.
talked about it 3 or 4 times since we got home.
I will say, so I have I live in Manhattan, so a very small shoebox. There's a closet dedicated to SharkNinja products. Slushy, crispy, I have them all.
So we can come shopping, is what you're saying, right after this. We'll come over.
I will send you the website link and
Oh, I meant in
get
your
some
closets.
conversion from this conversation.
We want to come shopping in your closet. That's not possible.
This is going to a different type of podcast.
Yes. Okay, so let's jump into the lightning round questions because I think these will be fun just given what you do.
Okay.
What is one of the products that has like no business being as good as it really is? Like sneaky cool.
Okay, they're all great and sneaky cool. I would say this one's not cool, but it's very practical. We do quite a bit of cookware, so pots, pans, and they're phenomenal. And I say that because all of our products typically have some type of motor, right? They're motorized or they're blending, they're vacuuming, and these are just analog pots and pans, but they're amazing. And I'm so glad I actually purchased them myself.
If it wouldn't be weird, I would go show you and bring out the knives from the knife set that I have.
The
because
knives are
also
great too,
analog, but like you wouldn't think that,
right?
right? Interesting.
I love it.
We just make everything we do is engineered to be great. The quality is just first and foremost what we build for. So it's amazing.
Okay, what's the as I say, you probably get pitched all the time, but what's the most like overused word or idea in a media pitch that you would just ban forever if you could?
Either AI or authenticity.
Authenticity is bad.
Which is in so many ways either the same thing or totally diametrically opposite.
Depends on the partner talking
Exactly.
about it. Yeah.
So how can you avoid it?
Well, you didn't say, do I want to avoid it? Just what do I
know.
ban?
I said ban forever is what
Yeah, ban forever. That will be in my next brief.
Okay.
You are not able to use these words, and if you do, here's the door.
Who wins in a fight, a shark or a ninja?
Oh, wow. You know what? I think they each have their moment.
It depends
they
if it's
come
on
out as
land or in
friends.
sea, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Context
That's a
matters,
great question.
guys.
You know what? I'm going to use that when I start interviewing people as I expand my team. I think that is a great question. Who do you think wins?
Again, just you look at like the logo on your wall, like it's 2 fonts, it's 2 different things. Like, how do you reconcile them? So that's
And a shark is different than a ninja. So, like, yeah, I mean, inherently
they attack in different ways.
They both win.
One has teeth and one's stealthy. Yeah.
In the same vein, the creamy or the slushy?
Yeah, I would say slushy. For me personally, more practical, everyday use. good for entertainment. The creamy is great also, but more for like personal ice cream servings, right? Versus slushy, you make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Cocktails.
Yeah, that was where my head was at too.
It's a PG-13 audience at this point, so that's fine. We're not going
You start talking about shopping my closet, so I mean, this could really go any direction.
Look, you go where the opportunities are, right? I thought every platform is up for grabs here as a potential opportunity.
It's true
for shopping. I don't know what that's a different kind of commerce, but when you launch either a new product or there's a new campaign that goes live, what's like the first metric you will look at in the spreadsheet or in the dashboard?
Point of sale. Point of sale we look at every day. Yep. I think from a marketing perspective, it is impression, delivery, virality, because we often start with organic creator content. But it's POS, point of sale, is what we're looking at on a regular frequency.
So the virality measurement is sort of like gives you indications as to where the sales will kind of start.
It gives us indication on consumer interest and reception to it, right? So it's our ability to scale the message to a broader group, but it's also what we look at to impact and turn on other mechanisms within our marketing model. Whether it's needing to create new content, different content, or scale what we already have. It's agility and velocity. That's right.
Okay. It's like 11th grade physics all over again. I have to remember what those mean, but I think I get it.
It's so long ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back.
Not for you.
Last question. Yes. Going back. Last question. A game that we used to play and we've kind of brought back. We can make it the PG version, but we used to call it Fuck, Marry, Kill. We'll call it Date, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
TikTok, retail media, or CTV. You have date, marry, and kill. TikTok, retail media, CTV. Last question.
Okay. Am I doing this from a personal POV or a business
personal?
POV?
Yeah, personal.
Okay.
We don't ever want you to speak on behalf of your company or ever spend any money on behalf of your company either.
Especially around this game.
Okay. Okay. Date, marry. So date. I'm gonna fancy a couple drinks with TikTok, right? It's like someone you want to be close with, but you don't want to commit fully because it will take over. I would say marry, probably connect to TV because it's getting smarter as it has to, and while we're social digital first, I think there's still a lot of value in the living room content connection with consumers. And then you know what? I'm gonna kill retail media because I think the way they win is their data set, but their data set is being replicated elsewhere, and I can get there without it.
The real value and the real insights that I think we've gotten from this conversation will only be really measurable based on how we action it from here. So Valerie, the challenge is now on us to take everything we've learned and now apply it in our everyday personal and professional lives, because Dave has given us tremendous insights.
I know. I feel like I learned, this was like a master class, I feel like.
Wow.
It is truly appreciated, Dave, the generosity of your time and just the wisdom and the letting us into your closet a little bit. We appreciate it. We're grateful.
I mean, the experiences you've had this year, I'm like, I'm so impressed. Yeah.
Well,
it's like a lot.
For clarity, it's not me. There's an entire army of people who drive this machine. So it is.
Well, no pressure to top it in year 2.
We already have plans in motion. It will be a new day come Q4.
I cannot wait to see what the next product is and how I discover it, because those two things are both going to be exciting.
I would love to know once you do discover it, how you discovered it. So let's stay in touch on that.
Okay. We'll have to have a follow-up conversation either on the record or off the record. But either way, Dave, again, thank you for this. It was great just
thank you, Dave.
Learning from and spending some time with you while we're all contained. And now we probably all need to run to the airport for our next conversation about agents taking over.
Oh, there we go. More AI. It's banned, by the way. from this conversation on. AI
That's right.
is banned.
That's it. All right.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate
you.
it. It was fun to talk to you.
That's it for this one. Thanks to Dave Kersey and SharkNinja. Follow Snarketing wherever you listen, go check out our new merch, and we'll see you next episode.